The intersection was crowded, horns blaring, people shouting, but none of that mattered. What mattered was the blind veteran kneeling in the street, desperately reaching for the fur of his retired canine partner, Hunter, who lay motionless on the pavement, blood pooling beneath him. "Don't move," an officer screamed, taser still trembling in his hand. But the veteran wasn't fighting. He wasn't resisting. He was begging. "My dog, please, he's hurt." His voice cracked into raw desperation. People pulled out their phones. Traffic stopped. A mother covered her child's eyes. No one understood how a harmless blind man and a senior service dog ended up tased in the middle of the street. Then someone yelled, "Is that a military tag on the dog?" Moments later, the sound everyone felt in their chests shook the block, the rumble of heavy engines. A full military convoy rolled into the street. Soldiers stepping out with urgency. What they said next changed everything. "Before we start, make sure to hit like, share, and subscribe. And really, I'm curious, where are you watching from? Drop your country name in the comments. I love seeing how far our stories travel." Thomas Walker moved through the morning streets with steady, practiced steps, one hand gripping his white cane, the other resting gently on the harness of his retired canine partner, Hunter. Though blind, Thomas carried himself with quiet dignity, the kind earned only through sacrifice. His faded uniform cap and the row of worn service ribbons on his vest told a story few understood. Hunter walked beside him with slow, careful strides. Age had stiffened his legs, but his instincts remained razor sharp. Every few steps, he glanced up at Thomas, guiding him away from obstacles, pausing at curbs, adjusting pace without a single command to strangers. They looked like any veteran and service dog pair, but those who knew them, neighbors, shop owners, delivery drivers, always stopped to greet them with respect. "Morning, Sergeant," someone called out. Thomas smiled. "Morning." Hunter wagged his tail, leaning his head briefly into Thomas's leg. They were more than partners, more than companions. They were two survivors who had saved each other countless times, and neither had any idea how violently their peaceful morning was about to shatter. Thomas and Hunter reached the busy crosswalk just as the light turned green. Hunter stepped forward first, guiding Thomas safely across. But halfway through the intersection, something made the old canine freeze. A low growl rumbled in Hunter's chest. Thomas stopped instantly. "What is it, boy?" he asked, confused. A speeding car barreled toward them, ignoring the red light. Hunter jerked Thomas back with all the strength his aging body had left. Thomas stumbled, nearly falling, but Hunter saved him from being struck. The driver slammed the brakes and began shouting out the window, "Control your dog." A nearby police cruiser saw the commotion and pulled up fast. Two officers jumped out, hands already on their holsters. "What's going on here?" One barked. Thomas tried to explain, voice shaken. I'm blind. He was just protecting me." But Hunter, still rattled from the near collision, stood between Thomas and the shouting officers, posture defensive. The officers misread everything. "He's aggressive." One yelled, "Sir, restrain your animal." "I can't use my eyes," Thomas pleaded. But panic took over, and in an instant that would change everything. The taser fired. The crack of the taser split the air like lightning. Thomas felt the electric jolt tear through his body, sending him crashing to the pavement. His cane flew from his hand. His sunglasses skidded across the concrete. He gasped, stunned, unable to understand why he was suddenly on the ground, but the sound that followed was worse. A sharp, agonizing yelp. "Hunter!" Thomas screamed, scrambling blindly across the asphalt. The old canine lay twitching, his paws scraping weakly at the road as blood trickled from where he had crashed onto the curb. His harness was scorched, his breathing ragged. Thomas reached him, his trembling hands trying desperately to find the wound. Around them, a shocked crowd gathered. "What are you doing?" "He's blind." "That's a service dog." "Stop them." Phones came out. People filmed, voices rising with outrage. The officers froze, realizing the gravity of what they'd done. Meanwhile, Thomas clutched Hunter's head, tears streaming. "I've got you, buddy. I'm here. Stay with me." Hunter tried to lift his head toward Thomas' voice, but couldn't, and the whole street held its breath. A woman in the crowd suddenly gasped, pointing at Hunter's collar. "Wait, look. That's a military service tag." Her words cut through the chaos like a siren. One of the bystanders knelt and turned Hunter's tag over. Embedded beneath the metal plate was a small blinking chip, a special emergency beacon assigned only to retired military K-9 South who had served in active combat, and the moment the chip registered severe trauma, it activated. Far away, inside a military base, an alarm shrieked. Red lights flashed. A commander rushed to the screen. K-9 Hunter injury alert. Coordinates locked. His expression hardened. "Mobilize the response convoy. Now." Back at the intersection, Thomas cradled Hunter's head, trembling. "Help is coming, boy. Just hold on." The officers stepped back as multiple civilians shouted at them, their anger boiling over. But before anyone could say another word, the ground began to vibrate. Engines roared in the distance. Heavy, powerful, unmistakably military. Every head turned as a full convoy of armored vehicles thundered onto the street and surrounded the intersection. Soldiers poured out of the armored trucks with precision, forming a protective circle around Thomas and Hunter. Their uniforms bore the same insignia Hunter once served under. The commanding officer, Lieutenant Hawley, rushed forward and dropped to one knee beside the injured K-9. "Hunter." "It's really him," Hawley breathed, voice cracking. "He saved my entire unit overseas." Thomas lifted his head, confused. You know my dog?" Hawley nodded firmly. "He's not just a dog, sir. He's a decorated war hero." A medic team immediately began working on Hunter, checking his pulse, stabilizing his breathing, and cleaning the blood around his neck. One medic glared up at the officers responsible, who tased a blind veteran and a retired combat K-9. The officers stood pale and silent. Hawley rose slowly, fury burning beneath his calm tone. "Body cam footage, now." The crowd murmured. Cameras recording everything. Another soldier approached Thomas gently. "Sir, we've got you. We're taking both of you with us. You're safe now." Thomas broke down, clutching Hunter's paw. For the first time since the incident, he felt hope. The soldiers carefully lifted Hunter onto a stretcher and guided Thomas into the convoy, helping him sit beside his partner. Sirens wailed as the vehicles pulled away, leaving the stunned officers behind. The crowd erupted in applause. cheering for the veteran and his brave canine as the convoy rolled through the sealed-off street. At the military hospital, surgeons worked urgently on Hunter. Thomas waited in silence, hands clasped, praying harder than he had in years. Lieutenant Hawley sat beside him. "He saved my life twice," Hawley whispered. "We won't lose him today." Hours later, the doors finally opened. A medic stepped out with a tired smile. He made it. Thomas exhaled a trembling breath as tears streamed down his cheeks. He followed the medic into the recovery room, his cane tapping softly. Hunter lay on a blanket, eyes half open. And when he sensed Thomas nearby, he gently lifted his paw. Thomas grabbed it, breaking down. "You came back to me, buddy. Thank you." Within days, the incident went viral nationwide. The officers involved were suspended, investigations launched, and millions demanded justice. But to Thomas, none of that mattered. All he cared about was that Hunter survived.